All right. So the Q&A with Baradwaj Rangan on Ponniyin Selvan 1 is out. And even I had asked a question which got answered because I've been getting so many messages since that video came out. I'm really worried. Was it a good question or he just trolled me? Even getting trolled from BR is amazing. But let's go through it. Fingers crossed. If you haven't seen the original, I'll put the link in the description. Go check it out first. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Galata Plus. In this episode of
All
Q&A,
right.
we're going to be taking at Ponniyin Selvan 1, that is PS1, directed by Ratnam. The first question comes from R. Ashwin. He asks, we
R.
have
Ashwin,
to
the...
continuously follow
Oh,
each and every
okay.
dialogue in the movie to understand the link between each character and how things are unfolding. Do you think some audience lost interest in following the dialogue and interested only in the visuals and limited characters? What is wrong in following
Interesting
dialogue?
question.
I mean, film is an audio-visual medium, right?
Yep.
It's not just a visual medium. Dialogues are an important form of communication of information in a film too. And this is a movie filled with not so much of war scenes, but interactions between people. And how do you interact with other people? By dialogue, by talking to them, right? And even when you look at the visuals, for example, take that wonderful scene where
You know, also about uh, the question, right? That... Wait, oh, I'm sorry. I got confused a bit. Recording is happening. Yeah. I was going to say also, the dialogues are not expositionary. Like, the dialogues is just to make audience understand what's happening. It's not that. Dialogues are coming from the characters and what they are talking about. It's not, just an exposition dump. So I think that also works in favor of the film.
Churn is lying on his bed, and he's talking to Sharat Kumar and Parthiban. I'm using the actors' names so that people don't get confused. And then his queen, that is the old king's queen, Prakash Raj's queen, is on that side, and she starts a bit of dialogue, and the camera, Ravi Varman's camera, slowly kind of comes this way,
Yeah, I noticed
and we
that.
have a kind of a circular movement, and it's only then that we see that Trisha is also in the room, kind of really focus on her, and the camera gives a stay for about, I don't know, 5 seconds on her face, and she has a very worried, kind of pensive
Yeah.
look. And immediately after the scene, after Sharat Kumar and Parthiban leave, the old king is supported on two sides by, on one side by the queen and one side by Trisha, and he's walking out, and he asks Trisha, why do you look worried? And I mean, she says, I think there is some major, conspiracy afoot. So
Yeah.
the fact that Trisha has been established as a major thinker has been done without dialogue, right? As in, she's been shown to be a major thinker in that scene because she's there in that room when this has happened, and that's what that stay on her face says, because she's digesting all this information and kind of not feeling that something is right. So you do have, along
That's
with the
true.
dialogue between Prakash Raj and Parthiban and Sharat Kumar and the Queen, you do have the silent person assimilating all that dialogue and kind of thing. Now, what is that if not cinema? So I'm saying that yes, you have to pay careful attention. But when we get, let's say, a Christopher Nolan movie, and people say,
Okay.
I didn't understand it the first time, but the second time I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's so amazing. And why can't we do the same thing in case we didn't understand for an Indian movie? Because actually speaking, this is a very easy to follow film, and probably it's the if you follow the dialogue, and if you follow the dialogue, it's very clean. There is Vikram. He sends Karthi on a mission. While that mission is happening, Karthi meets Trisha, and he gets another mission to go and find Jayamravi. Then he goes on that second mission, and then he meets Jayamravi, and they fall into the sea. I mean, literally, that's the general broad.
See, I think that's a double standards, right? That when Nolan does it, Christopher Nolan does it, it's like, oh, everyone's talking about it. You have to be really clever to understand. So everyone wants to be on that, ride that I'm clever, I understood it, I watched it multiple times. But when an Indian film comes out like that, you're like, it's not massy enough. It doesn't have cool moments. I don't want to watch it. We don't want to apply that same mind and effort on that movie too. So, yeah.
Of the story. How difficult is this to follow? I'm like, yes, there are like little intricacies that you might lose here and there if you're not listening too closely to the dialogue. But this is the easiest, the most elegant simplification of a complex novel that you can find.
I wonder if he's talking through like a Tamil audience perspective or any audience perspective. And I think that will be answered my question. I'm so worried.
And to find people saying that they can't follow the dialogue, I just don't get it. So I'm saying that yes, the dialogues are there for you to follow. That's why people speak. I mean, if you are listening to me now, it's because you're listening to me speak.
This is very meta.
This is an audio-visual medium, and I'm saying treat it as one. And well, and if you're saying I want a movie with minimal characters, yes, maybe Pungu.
I have gotten comments under my reviews saying, why you're talking so much? Like, wait, excuse me? Should I start doing sign language?
Could have been chopped off, but why? She adds a presence to the second half of the movie, and you don't know how she's going to be used in the PS Part 2. So I'm saying, following something with dialogue, or rather following a film with attention, is not such a bad thing. And I think we should learn to do that if you're kind of we want to take cinema seriously. Nona Prince asked
Oh my god. Oh my god.
a kind
I have talked to him. I have interacted, I have session with him, but still it feels okay.
continuation of the same question. He says, is it the audience's job to do homework regarding the history and the novel before watching a film like this? Or the film needs to make them clearly understand the world and its characters without assuming they know anything?
Just one thing I want to add. I think this is the Twitter question in YouTube. In the thing they asked, I even added about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which technically is an awesome film. It's sound, everything, but I just don't connect with the film. I don't understand. I don't know anything about the time, whatever they are trying to show, and it's like a different take on what really happened. So I don't know anything about it. So I just couldn't connect with the film. Whereas there are few moments which are like acting wise, oh my god, that's a really cool scene, but I don't get the whole movie. Okay, just adding that, but oh, let's go back a bit. Okay.
Or the film needs to make them clearly understand the world and its characters without assuming they know anything. No, it is not the audience's job to kind of do a crash course on anything. It's the film's duty to give all this information.
Okay.
But as I just said, because the names are a little daunting for people who don't know the novel. Maybe it's not such a bad idea to kind of just get a brief summary from there's so many places on Wikipedia and other things that are giving you the thing. Now I'll give an example of Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
You have hobbits, you have something else, you have something else. Now a person who's not going who's going into that movie without reading Tolkien, he's going to like, what are orcs, what are hobbits, what are elves, we probably know. But then why is Frodo Baggins, what is Gandalf the Grey, why does he become Gandalf the White? All these things are highly compressed in that movie, and you have a movie that has as much dialogue as visuals. So I'm saying that there is nothing wrong in you kind of just doing a little bit of a crash course simply because of the names, and probably because sometimes when we follow a movie in a different language, the faces are not familiar to us. Sometimes when the faces are familiar to us,
that's true. That's true. Sometimes I even thought, have I seen this character before, or is it a new character? It happened a lot while watching the film. And I'm someone who has been following Southern cinema for a long time. I've seen a lot of films, like not many, but still enough amount, so I should be still able to catch on these things. But it's hard.
And then we immediately attach that face to that particular character, and sometimes that doesn't happen when you're watching a film in another language. Maybe that's a bit of a problem, but I really don't think that no, you are not supposed to do the homework. But I think that this film does not require to do the homework, as long as you are paying attention.
I really thought he's gonna troll me, but okay. Yeah, that I think makes sense. I've yet to watch the film again. I wanted to watch it again and in Hindi again, because the Hindi dub is really good, and watching in Tamil makes no sense because it will be more complicated to understand that way. So I thought I'll watch in Hindi again, but the show timings are like only Hindi shows at 10 p.m. That's not good for me. So let's see. I think this Sunday I may go with my family, so hopefully it's more fun, and we're also doing a live session, so stay tuned on the main channel.
Karthik Subramaniam asks, not exactly a question on the movie, but PS is Maniratnam's magnum opus like Schindler's List for Spielberg. Will Mani's filmmaker post PS change? I think Mani's filmmaking has been changing constantly from the beginning. I don't think this is any stop point in his filmmaking, because one of the things that he's been doing, whether his films are hits or flops or average performers, he's always been pushing the audience and pushing himself within the narrative, within the mainstream format. If you look at his early films, there was this PC Sriram phase where you had these very, very formal compositions. People would stand at a particular place so that the light would fall on them at a particular angle. Then you get to kind of, Madhu Ambar's work and Anjali was very different from what PC Sriram did, because there were huge shafts of light from everywhere, because that story demanded that kind of treatment, because that girl needed to be shown like not in a very clear way until the family accepts her into the fold. And then you have Rajiv Menon, who gave a lot of freedom by kind of with a moving camera. And if you look at Bombay, the style of Mani Ratnam is very different from something that came earlier. And then you get Iruvar again with
Yeah,
Santosh,
they're very
Roja,
different
Iruvar.
films.
That's different. That's a different phase. And then you have Ravanan, which is again like again, almost each frame
Haven't seen that
is
yet.
kind of so composed, and yet in a way so free. And then you get to the way color is used, and then you get to him getting into digital with OK Kanmani. I think it's the movie in which Madras Talkies got into the digital phase. So I don't think any particular style can be pinned down on Mani Ratnam, because he's been pushing his own style boundaries throughout. Early in the early days, people used to make fun that Mani Ratnam films are very dark and all that kind of stuff, as in dark, as in dark.
Subject.
You can't see much,
Oh,
visually
okay.
dark.
Visually
But
dark.
no, that's you. If you look at Bombay, for instance, that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of light in that movie, and there is this. It's just
I think in Bombay he uses mood also. Like whatever mood is going on with the characters, the colors become that. Whenever they're sad, something is not happening right, so it becomes very dark and dull. Very bluish tint to it. Whereas when things are happy, it's very bright and saturated.
that it's hard to pin down a Mani Ratnam style down the years.
Yeah.
In a way, I thought, epic movie. This is the kind of scope. So I was kind of expecting an extension of the Sundari song from Thalapathy, where you'd have very, very extravagant, grand shots. Instead, the camera is, like he said, it's a very rough and tumble kind of world, and you actually feel like you are with the characters, because the camera is not leaving them. It's a few feet away
Yeah.
from them. When Vikram's on his horse, the camera is basically about 5 feet away or something. So you just see the 10 people around him. You don't see some huge grand battle formation, like advancing towards us. I mean, there are a few wide shots here and there, but the idea is to kind of show how people do battle, and there's a bit of clumsiness there, in the sense of, when you are fighting, however good a warrior you are, there are going to be moments where you're suddenly taken by surprise or something like that. All that
Yeah.
is there in the movie. You're not really. It's like being in a fight. You are seeing a fight, but it's not the wonderfully choreographed to the micro milli like movement kind of thing. It's like watching a fight from an MGR movie or something, swashbuckling. It's like sword fights from that era. And I think that's the look that he went for here. And I think more than anything else, to continue, is this a new phase? I remember Spielberg saying about, Schindler's List, that because that is the time that he was first working with this cinematographer Janusz Kaminski, who has now pretty much shot all of Spielberg's films, and they were filming a shot. I read this in American Cinematographer, I think, and I'm not sure about the year, but you can look this up. They were filming a shot from outside a window. Liam Neeson and the Ben Kingsley characters, they are kind of talking with each other, but this shot is being filmed from outside the door and through the glass. So technically speaking, you shouldn't be able to hear the sound, the dialogue from inside.
Yeah.
And then Spielberg joked and said, "We're doing everything wrong. That's what's so right about this movie." I kind of remembered that when I saw Ponniyin Selvan. It's not wrong. I mean, Spielberg is just joking, right? But the fact that everything looks raw, like deliberately raw. Inside the palace, you have this very composed kind of
Basically flawed.
style, and outside the palace, you have this very, like, I'm among the people, with the people kind of style. And even inside the palace, you have this kind of this on the boat or whatever it is. When you're stepping outside on the boat, you have this kind of camera at these places where you register another person in the frame, like Vanati is behind, the Shobita character is behind Karthi when he's meeting Trisha. You register her presence. So there's everywhere you feel like you're in the middle of something, you don't feel like you're outside. And I think this is an outstanding risk to take in a movie like this, when everybody would expect to see Mani Ratnam's, classical usual composition. And the fact that it's paid off and the movie looks so great is, I think, this fantastic synergy between Ravi Varman and Mani Ratnam, which is like truly, truly fantastic. I think they just, work beautifully together. They work beautifully together in Karthi Day, because if you look at the single shots in that film, they're just superbly amazing.
Yeah, I saw that when in the interview reaction, you can check it out. That was a cool shot. And also, just want to say, Baddy's floral shirt, I like it. I have my own collection.
And I think, again, they've established a kind of like a wonderful benchmark here for how a historical period film can look. And to address your question, if whether it's going to change, whether Maniratnam's filmmaking is going to change, I'll bet you that it's going to change, because he's got this
It's always
format,
been
and
changing,
now he's
right?
not going to say, he's going to say, been there, done that. I'm going to do something else. And he's probably going to do a highly composed, very composition-oriented movie or something like that next. I don't know. But he's kind of done this. He's going to move away from this and do something else. That's been his whole search, like kind of.
BR is like the best person to talk about Maniratnam, right? He has, interviewed him so many times, wrote a book about him. So
Very agonizing search throughout his career. So, and that's why I think, I respect him so much, because, it's very easy, for somebody to say, people like this, it's working for people, let me just continue doing this. But he doesn't do that. He kind of keeps trying something new all the time. And I think that's really, really, very inspirational. Wu Umay Rani Yarra, interesting name, asks, do you think by introducing
I don't
Arunmozhi
get it.
Varman in the first half, we would have connected with him better? This is the only gripe I had with the movie, that I couldn't connect with the character of Ponniyin Selvan. I thought actually this was a
I don't know if you have seen my review. I really thought they are two different people until the interval.
brilliant masterstroke by not having him in the first half, because you start with Vikram, you get to Karthi, you end with Vikram, and then after the interval, brand new, character introduction.
Yeah, that's
And
like
if you
an
see, what's
interesting
uniting them
choice.
all is the comet in the sky. If you see that you see that comet in the sky, it's not that in the movie it may look like this is happening after this and this is happening after this, or whatever it is. But if you look at when Jayamravi ships are coming towards the Sri Lankan shore, the comet is in the sky, which means that comet was in the sky in the very first scene as well. So they're all simultaneous events. They're not like, like sequential events one
Okay.
after the other. So I think it's great that you're introducing this character, because now you've allowed these two characters to breathe. That is, Karthi character bookended in front and back by the Vikram character in the first half, and then you get to the second half where you're introducing Jayamravi character, and then you're getting
Also, if you just introduce all of them in the first half, it's like you're just introducing characters for the first half. That's it. There's nothing else happening. So I think this approach is much better.
Karthi with Jayamravi, those interactions before ending the movie with Vikram again. I thought this is a very, very clean way to go. And this is kind of what happens in the book also, because if you look at it, the character of Jayamravi actually is around whom the whole thing is centered. So we have to digest who's plotting, what is being, doing all these things, and then get to the character on whom all this is being plotted. If you introduce Jayamravi very early on, just because you want 3 hero introductions, then that's going to be like, okay, like before you know who the characters on whom on all this is being planned, you kind of, there's too much space that is being allotted to battles and other things. Whereas this way it's clean. You finish your interval where you're given all the information you're needed, and then you start with the new chapter in Lanka. Arva16 asks, what is Manishas' reply on certain people that comparing it with Baahubali? Obviously, the high and low ends can only be done for fantasy movie. My question is referring to the making, the similarities and differences with the difficulties. No, I don't think this is true. I think if Mani Ratnam had wanted, he could have made this into some super electricity charged movie as well. There's nothing saying that a movie should be made only in one particular style. Just
Yep.
because Kalki wrote it in that particular, like a kind of a poetic prose style, it doesn't mean that the movie has to be in the same way. There are plenty of examples of films that deviate from the source material in terms of style, but he wanted to honor Kalki and keep it muted, and that has also been Mani Ratnam's sensibility, like from the first. He's never been a very, like in your face kind of director, and not that that's wrong again, but he's always been like somebody who kind of lets people kind of. I'll give you this example of major emotional moment in Kannathil Muthamittal, where the Kirtana character, as a little girl, she's kind of run away from home. She's been found in a police station, and Madhavan and Simran and Madhavan's sister and her husband, they all rush in a car to the police station, and Simran kind of reaches there first, because this is a movie about the mother mainly, right? About who's the real mother. So Simran reaches there first. She's standing there silent, and Kirtana is here, and you see the focus on Simran and you see the focus on Kirtana. But suddenly, like in the midway, the focus changes, and Madhavan appears in focus right in the middle between the mother and the child rushes to him. They both kind of
Okay,
embrace,
that's
and she
interesting
looks at the
shot.
mother from the shoulder of the father, kind of indicating that he's going to be the
Roadblock.
kind of a buffer between her and the mother, because she's going to have problems with her mother, like in the future, and Simran is not really kind of a thing. It would have been so easy to have the very same scene as Simran goes to at that point she doesn't do it, but later, when she says, did I not bring you up properly? Why did I deserve this? Why are you making me do this kind of a thing? Simran yells at her, but only after the scene. It would have been so easy to have that yelling happen in this scene itself, Simran yelling at Kirtana, but that doesn't happen there. So his style has always been, kind of like, this way, which is like
Adding like a visual grammar.
kind of a very understated, poetic kind of way. And again, that's I don't see him doing, the this movie, the Baahubali way, or the RRR way. I enjoyed RRR, I enjoyed Baahubali, and that's a different kind of a thing. But every movie does not need to be made the same way, which is why we have variety.
I wonder, because Rajamouli has said he wanted to make PS1, but I wonder, like after the film's out for some 5 years, 6 years, maybe it's again made into film or a series with a different style. So it'll be interesting to see how the style differs with the same story.
Venkat Raghav asks a very interesting question. He says, what is your take on Mani Ratnam cutting his songs halfway post Karthi Velidai? This intention is perhaps not to hamper the pace of the film, but considering the love for the Mani Ratnam ARR combo, it feels incomplete and
I had the same issue. I didn't like the cutting of the songs.
not able to savor the emotion. I think the way the songs have been used are really is really interesting in this, because you get the feeling, like in the other places, like Trisha is watching a stage performance. When we are watching a stage performance, sometimes we might turn to the person next to us and whisper something, or sometimes we might wave to somebody we know, like in the audience, or sometimes we might take out a smartphone and look at it or something like that. So while the stage performance is happening, there are different things happening within
Yeah, and I like that, and I think all songs, while the song is going on, there's many things happening with that.
us, right? That's the feeling that happens. Let's look at this song. Devlanatam begins, and
Yeah,
you
Karthi
think that
comes in
movie
and
is
talks with
that's going,
the
but
yeah.
simultaneously Karthi is also trying to enter the fort. So the film cuts between that and this in real time, while actually speaking, you could have had Karthi enter the fort, tell Sharat Kumar, oh wow, great king, I've heard that you have so many wounds and all that, amazed, like this kind of stuff and all that. And then
Buttering
Karthi
him.
could have settled down, and then the song could have started. But what's happening here is the song starts, and again, that simultaneousness that I talked about.
It also adds that the function has already started and it's trying to get in when there's no, like, all the attention is at the performance, not at the gate or something like that. So
Earlier, as the song is happening, Karthi is trying to enter the fort. So the song continues, then, Karthi's friend comes outside. Then the song continues, Karthi is led to Sharat Kumar. And then the song continues. And so that's the way, like, it's like watching something in real time, like all these things are happening in real time. Again, when you look at Trisha watching that Krishna Kamsa performance, she's sitting down to enjoy something. But then suddenly the Ashwin Kakumanu character comes, and then he's kind of having a chat with her about, like this about the Karthi character, and she's kind of having an aside while that is still going on. So the breaking of the songs is kind of intentional, and I think, like for example, in Chakajadavanam, you didn't have many songs at all, and almost everything like Boomi Boomi was used in the background, while only Mare Kuruvi, I think one stanza or something was used when Simbu got married. The rest of it, it's such a beautiful song, and the rest of it is just pretty much, not there at all. But I think that's the way, this whole thing is like, you've done it one style, you've become, like this person known for song picturization or whatever, that face is behind me, and I'm going to kind of do this
Interesting.
way now, because this is what is important to me. He may return to songs again, like make a complete musical, you never know, but at least this phase is interesting, because you know, I am remembering another thing as I speak. Everybody thinks that the narrative in this movie is new, right? But actually, Maniratnam started it probably around the time of Ravanan. Because if you remember Ravanan, the first scene, Ravanan is there, he's having a happy life. Then his sister is taken to the police station. Sister is getting married. She gets a police station. She's raped. She comes back, and then, he takes
Spoilers.
revenge on the policeman, right? But no, the revenge is at first. We just enter the movie cold. It's like the coldest opening you can imagine, because you don't know what's happening. This guy is standing on top of a cliff. He moves the stone drops. He takes this amazing swan dive. I don't know if it's Vikram or somebody else, but that dive is just simply amazing. And then what happens is you see three events of policemen being led into various things. One, a girl is seducing two policemen into somewhere else in the middle of a fair, and then like rocks are being placed on the road while a jeep comes and is being set on fire. And then I forget the third incident. Something else happens. I think it's again in, like, three cops are set on fire or something like that. And I think Prabhu is involved in that. So the point is, you are suddenly plunged into a narrative with all this violence being unleashed, and Vikram is playing the drum, and you don't know, like, really how or what or thing, because after that the title song starts and you get the credits. So it's like a cold opening, so this,
That movie is ruined for me, and hearing that, I really want to watch this movie now.
plunging us into a narrative. Maniratnam has started experimenting with it in kind of Ravanan itself, though that was probably, once that scene got over, it got a little kind of a thing. So I think even this experimenting with songs, kind of, either cutting them off due to length or using them in the way that I just described, like in how Karthi enters the fort as the song is going on, it's all part of, like, what else can we do? A song has been used this way traditionally for years. How can we break it? Now, obviously, some people are going to like it, some people are not going to like it, but it's such a fresh way to stage a song when you kind of look at the overall look of the movie, because the song, even the song is not composed, it's kind of being disturbed, disrupted as other things are happening, and that is the feel of the cinematography, the editing, everything. So this is other song, Chora Chora, right? It could have easily been a celebratory song where Vikram wins the battle and then everybody sings. We are used to that kind of like song presentation, but how does that song begin? It begins with Vikram going seriously kind of nuts, trying to remember his long lost loved one, and he's narrating that story to Vikram Prabhu. And after that, he says, that is why I'm drowning myself in booze and war and blood and all those things. And that leads to him, in the Chora Chora song, where he's kind of, drinking booze and, in war. And okay, that could have still been a good transition. But again, that flow is broken when you see Vikram actually remember the event of him beheading, the Nasser character who's going to come back in the second part. So again, the flow of that song, or what a song is, or how a song should be used, is so like turned on its head, because you're using the song, which is a celebratory song, but Vikram is actually, if you hear again the mix, I don't know, there's this huge thing about the sound mix, but you can hear Vikram screaming the lines over the Rahman composition. He's screaming the lines in his own voice
Okay.
over the Rahman
Interesting.
composition, where everybody's singing. Vikram is kind of screaming those lines. So there's so much of
I love the use of the song. I think as you mentioned and broke it down, it's yeah, that's outstanding. But I feel the way the songs are cut off, like you want to hear it more, like make complete the song, but no, it just cut off and we move on to the next scene. So that's I'm not a fan of. Like I'm a fan of the music, so I wanted to hear it more in the film.
Kind of things that have been done with the songs out here. Sudu says, do you think Pungali's character comes all of a sudden and there could be a
I
scene
did
or
feel
two
that.
to know who she is and why Vandidevan travels with her to Sri Lanka? Somewhere, I felt people who didn't read the book might have missed on how good this part in the novel is. No, because Trisha says, I want you to go to Lanka
No,
and
that is clear.
find, my brother. So when you see Karthi in the sea, you kind of pretty much know that he's on his way to Lanka. And the first thing he says is not Pungarli. He says, I think if I'm remembering right, Odakara Penne or something like that. Hey, boat woman. So you know that there is a boat woman and she emerges from the sea and then he calls her Pungarli. And then you pretty much know like that character is from the book. From if you've read the book, you know this is Pungarli. Of course, she's being introduced like again cold. She's emerging from the sea. She's
But I would say that, that scene, the way dialogues, the way it's interacted and executed, it feels like, there was a scene before we didn't see. There's something missing, there's like they're talking as if they know each other and we didn't, witness that. We're just directly watching this scene. I did feel that in the first watching.
not you're not giving a proper introduction to her, but that's again part of the film style to kind of have that thing happen. And then if you've not read the book, you're getting this fact that she's a boat woman. You're getting the fact that Karthi is in mid sea. You're getting the fact that he's flirting with her. I mean, how much
I'm, what I felt is that they shot sequences with them, but in the edit, they thought the pacing is getting affected, so they cut it out. That's why it feels, abrupt to me. If it was planned to be abrupt, then, one should not feel that. That they would have written the dialogues in such a way that we just assume, okay, they just met. They have, like, he's going to Sri Lanka and he met her, and now they are on the boat to Sri Lanka. But it feels like, there's something missing we didn't see, which got cut off. That's the feeling I got.
more information do you need?
I may be wrong.
It's not really unclear, right, Charukesh? POV Gunpoint, where will you rank this movie among the director's other finest work? Nayagan Iruvar, Mauna
For me, Iruvar is still one of his best films.
Ragam, etc. I don't know. I'm still in it. I've seen it twice, and I'm still inside this. So I'm kind of right now. It's right on top. And to kind of have a movie this fresh and this innovative in writing, in staging, cinematography, in terms of how to present a period film, how to make royals act. The only two big performances come from the kind of course, Vikram is drowning in angst and all that. But the only two other big performances come from Jairam and from Karthi, who are the non-royals. Otherwise, everybody else is kind of muted. Even their anger is muted. Everything is muted because they're princes and princesses and kings, and there's not much of voice raising, I just love that scene where Trisha's character is so amazingly written. She comes to the palace and Nandini is waiting, the Aishwarya Rai is waiting for with her maids to welcome her, and Trisha sees that she's not coming forward, so she deliberately stops and talks to a minister and says, okay, what's the talk, and what's she looks at Aishwarya, she sees that she's not coming forward to welcome her, so she's like, okay, you know what, I'm going to just delay this a bit, and she's kind of
I think that's a detail to notice in the second viewing. I think it was not clear to me in the first one.
like talking to this man so that it's going to take some more time. She's like, dude, I'm not going to come forward, you better come down and then I'll meet you halfway. The Trisha's character is so amazing because she's asking random things like what are people talking about in the city, and it's like, okay, when are you going to get married? This has nothing to do with anything, but she's just like delaying so that Nandini, Aishwarya Rai will be forced to come some way and then this one can go there. And even in that scene where she breaks up that little conspiracy group of the rulers, the ministers and all that, by offering the hand of her two brothers, another stroke of genius of writing, because it's like it plays like a comedy scene, but it's such serious strategy because it shows you how clever this woman is.
And also, I like that the camera focus is always on her. They don't cut to the reaction shots of all these ministers. Oh my God, is a good chance we'll, get our daughters marry. It's always on her, and they are, coming and surrounding her, and my daughter, my daughter, my daughter. So that's a good decision.
and probably a big challenge to Aishwarya Rai's manipulations. Except that with Aishwarya Rai, the manipulations are very clear, whereas here you understand like fully. Again, this is for those who say that there's too much visual. That scene with Vikram at the end, she clearly tells him, listen, I'm not just your sister, I'm also responsible for the Chora
Yeah.
Empire. So don't expect me to mother you and coddle you because you lost your loved one earlier. And, that's not, my priority. And she says it. That's the only time she raises her voice. And even there, it's only a little bit. It's not like, she doesn't scream at him or something like that because, she just like a little bit compared to a normal voice because that's what they do. So I think there's so much that's new here in terms of Mani Ratnam style that right now I think it's number one. But let things settle down a bit, and then I think I'll make another ranking of his films. Arjun Venkatesan says, I thought Nambi's character was fantastic. Jairam transformed body and
Nambi? I have no idea.
mannerism into the exact character that I created in my head when I read the book. But he's underappreciated by all reviewers. I think it's just basically the fact that everyone pretty much gave a great performance and he was a standout. Jairam was simply fantastic. It just became a question of length or whatever it is, but review length or whatever it is. But I think, his performance is just so, it's comic and it's like at the same time, when Jayamravi says, is there anything you don't know? You also know he's the spy and all that kind of stuff. So I think he registers. It's just that I think with so many things to cover in the movie, maybe he got like short shrift in terms of thing. But for the record, Jairam is fantastic here. Ashwin Kumar says, do you think the grandeur of the film, the scale of the setting and the star cast deserve some individual character high points? I wouldn't call it lag, but there's a huge chunk of the film that went by without any kind of high or jolt or something that surprises us. But I think that depends on what you call high, because for me, a high is not a battle. A high is Trisha walking into like that council of ministers.
Their first meeting, Trisha and Aishwarya, that was outstanding.
And
I think that scene that gave me goosebumps.
what a mass scene that is. I mean, like, in single-handedly, she kind of, upends the plans of Parthiban and Sarat Kumar. I mean, like, that's such a, like a mass scene. It's like, if that's not a high, then what's a high? It's like, it doesn't have to be that's what I'm saying. You have to listen to the dialogue or follow the story and read the subtitles or whatever it is that you do, because this film is full. It flows really, really fast. There is like, if there is a lag, I think it's because, I mean, again, no judgment, but I think it's probably because you want a film to be fast-paced in terms of action and not necessarily in terms of
Drama.
visuals or dramatic conflicts. So maybe that's the standard that you have. Again, I'll bring back Christopher Nolan's example. I think if you see this film a second time, you'll really kind of understand that, because anything that is new to us, the first time it hits us, it's like, it seems a little disorienting, but the second time you watch it, knowing the format, the pattern, everything like that, I think it's going to be, you're going to register what really happened. At least I hope. Shyamalan says, what's your take on Ravi Varman's cinematography? What do you think about director's thinking process on hiring Ravi Varman instead of Santosh Sivan, who's an experienced hand when it comes to historical period films and a very frequent collaborator of the director? Maybe that's exactly why, Mani Ratnam didn't choose Santosh Sivan. He's like, been there, done that. We've done like that epic Talapati. You've done a lot of, historical films. So why not Ravi Varman? And Ravi Varman, I think, is absolutely majestic, fantastic. Every single adjective that I can use here, because see, the thing is that synergy between cinematographer and director. Rajiv Menon told me once, I think this was after Guru, that the cinematographer should be the director's younger brother on the set. There should be that kind of trust, between the director, and the director should be able to rely on the cinematographer, so that even without a word being spoken or without a gesture being said, if they understand what's needed for that scene or what's kind of happening. Of course, the previous evening they're going to do some planning for the basic scene, but I'm talking about the improvisations. And I think I just got this feeling that these two were in such sync in this movie and in Karthi that I think I really want Mani Ratnam to do more movies with Ravi Varman. I think that combination is amazing. Ted Mosby says, do you think the flashback montages of Aditya Karikalan and Nandini could have been a full-fledged scene, as it would have been, it would have made us feel the thing better than Vikram's dialogues? Actually, no, because I think when you see a scene,
I like the build up to that. Like, first we get that, he went to the forest, open the gate, we see him. and then we cut back to the Cholo Cholo song, and then slowly the camera is going towards the hut as if he's going, and we're cutting constantly and building up, and then we get a final reveal, where the door opens, then it closes again and it opens, and when we finally see it. So I think that's a cool idea.
It exists in the past.
And that's also making it like the interval moment. I didn't even realize that it says interval. I'm like, wait, what? It's interval, so it's surprising in that sense.
When you see Vikram even now repeating those dialogues, it means that after all these years, it's still bugging him. So I think there's a huge difference, first of all, in the dramatic context. That scene exists in the past. When you see Vikram's dialogues, it means he has not forgotten. So the two cannot be compared. But secondly, the part by part, like first you see Vikram approaching the cottage, he opens the door shuts on him. Then little while later, the door opens again. And then little while later, you see him like Aishwarya Rai turns, she comes, don't kill him, she begs him, whatever. And then you see a very weird scene. You don't actually see a beheading. You kind of see blood splashing and things like that. So you're kind of that fragmentary way in which it exists in his mind. Remember, how we remember memories, right? It's like comes in fragments as opposed to entire like start camera, end camera kind of scenes, but it exists in fragments. I thought that was beautifully done because this man's mind is not really like quite all there. He doesn't have all his lights on because he's not forgotten Nandini. He's kind of, always,
Yeah.
using her as an excuse to drown himself in booze and this and that and all that kind of stuff. So if you show a clean scene, that would mean that this man's mind is remembering that scene as a whole thing, whereas in fragments, you kind of get a thing of his own mind, and I think
Like depiction of his mind and state.
that's really how I see it. Abhishek Tirumugam says many are saying war scenes are not up to the mark, but I felt they are so real, and the film dictates a new way how to shoot a war scene. Realistical tone. What is your take on this? I feel for me they worked. The low keyness of the choreography worked. Like that Spielberg example that I showed. Like I said before, that imperfectness worked because otherwise you see such crisply choreographed moves that you're kind of think here you see like it's as if things are being improvised as they are kind of a thing, like that scene where Jayamravi picks up a spear and then he puts it through the bodies of one man and then second man, like that same spear goes through two men. It doesn't look like something like he did 5 moves in advance. It's like he did it right then, and I think that's really kind of interesting. See, the epicness is in the shot of the ships appearing and all that kind of stuff, but once they land, the war is as seen through like a smaller kind of way.
The issue I had was, first of all, I think maybe second time it works better, but I felt that editing was really choppy. And I said in my review also that it felt like, a showcase. That, okay, we have Ponniyin Selvan. He's, with a sword first on the horse, then, on foot. Then he's using the sword, then he's using the spear. So I'm just getting, okay, can you do all of these things? And it for me, I think both the first also with the Vikram's character is like you are establishing these characters that they can fight. That's how I am, perceiving this. That's what the film is trying to establish. I would have liked a better thing to establish that is that just okay. The first thing is that I said that there's no narrative in the war sequence, which of course, if you add that, then it becomes a whole 30-minute sequence like a Baahubali, So you cannot do that in this film. So my thought was, what if we just start, we are already in a battle, and there's a discussion going on how to do it, and we are not winning or something, and then the hero who you are trying to establish comes up with a plan, and then they execute it and they win. In that sense, you're showing that how well he is at war, then how good he is at fighting, and that gives a narrative to what's really happening and makes it more engaging and interesting. It's not just battling. That's it. It's not just the visuals. And I think same thing could have happened later with the Ponniyin Selvan, that you see that them landing, and then some time has passed, and they are oh, how to take it. They have the advantage of the land. We have come from the sea. Something they're coming up with the plan, and then they execute it and they win. So that gives a narrative to what's really happening, and showing how good he is as a leader and as a warrior. So I think that would have established more than just seeing them just fight and move on. That's my problem with those sequences.
Now, is this should the war have been more epic? I don't know, because for me everything is one of a like it's very organic that the war scenes are shot in this muted way, because like I said, everything in this film is not done the way it is usually done. It is done in a kind of a different way to keep you close to the characters, to keep you close to the battle, to keep you inside the battle. So there are no great cinematic set pieces in terms of the war scenes, and I think that's what's interesting about this movie, right? Because otherwise you're pretty much seeing what you've seen in other films as well. Mitesh Bharadwaj says, in today's times of the Bahubalis and RRRs, do you think Maniratnam made the right decision in telling this narrative in a slow paced and character driven way, which worked big time with Tamil audience and money fans, but not much with pan India? See, I don't know. See, the
Interesting.
movie is a gigantic hit. So it's like, no movie is going to be accepted at this level if at some basic level it does not connect with a lot of people. And I don't think people are just going to watch it because, oh, Kalki wrote a great novel. It's also because Maniratnam made a very good film. There's something about it that's appealing to them. Otherwise, I don't see people sitting through a narrative where, you have a different kind of Tamil than is spoken in generally on screen, Raja Rani kind of story and all that kind of stuff, because it is not a mythical story like Bahubali or RRR. This is a kind of a court, like palace intrigue, spies, that kind of story. It's not really like a huge, a simple good versus evil story. It's
Yeah.
like almost like current day politics, where you jump parties and then you try to form an alliance with somebody else, and then somebody else is out there watching what's happening, and it's like that. So to kind of make that story, I don't think it should have been fast paced, or it could have been fast paced. I think this was the right decision, and I think the fact that the movie is doing so well also, I don't think you can plan for movies to become, a success. You can't plan for a song to become a blockbuster hit song. You can't plan for any kind of, thing to happen in terms of art, because what is ultimately accepted by the audience is up to them. What you can do is do the best that you can. Try to do what you want to do, and do that is basically focus your attention on the process rather than the end result. Because even if, let's say, Maniratnam had made the decision to make this a fast-paced movie, right? There's no guarantee that this would have worked.
Yeah.
The fact that it has worked like this also means that there are some people who are kind of finding a certain kind of satisfaction in this kind of storytelling. So rather than say should somebody have done that, which actually has no guarantee at all, because anything that you do can either fail or succeed, I'm just saying, this is the method that you chose, and ultimately it's been accepted by the core population that the film targets, and it's also going to do pretty good business in other centers, is what people in the trade tell me, even if not like certain blockbuster business, but it's going to really cover the investments and get back some money. At some point, I think we've got to stop comparing money, and start talking about cinema, because it's like all the headlines
Yep.
that I've been hearing about the last, I mean, there's so much of cinematic innovation here, so much to talk about cinema here. I'm saying, even if you did not like this movie, there is so much to discuss about this
Yep.
movie. But why are we always talking about, this has crossed Beast, this has not crossed something else, this has crossed Wali Mai, this has, done, this is among the top 100 crore grossers, it is among the top. What? Who? Is that money coming to us? No. It's like it's something that has to do with producers and distributors. Why do we care? I mean, like what we want is a film, and that's what we should be talking about. And instead we get into this whole pan India, whether it works here, whether it works there. I mean, like, why?
True words haven't been spoken before.
Dr. Kamal says, why are all the characters written very badly and poorly? I felt disgusted with Aishwarya Rai's character Nandini. I felt empty and no emotional connection through the movie. I completely disagree. I think all the characters are written beautifully. It's just that the way Aishwarya acts with her eyes and with her, notice the scene where she kind of, Sarath Kumar is really angry and marches into a room, and she quietly comes out and turns her back to him and says, asks him to remove the necklace. And she's already kind of that scene, she's already overpowered him with her beauty, and then she offers the suggestion of like what should be done, which is like this Vikram and Jayamravi character should not be allowed to meet. So that character has been written beautifully. You know, if you notice it, every little interaction of hers reveals. This is what happens. You know, every character gets 3 or 4 juicy scenes where you see some core character trait that has been exposed. Like in Aishwarya's scene with Karthi, you see the first scene, you see how she manipulates people with her beauty, and she knows, especially when she knows that the other person is going to be a sucker for her beauty. In Aishwarya's scene
We all are. Come on.
with Sharat Kumar, you see how she is influencing the politics of what this person is doing. In Aishwarya's scene with Trisha, you kind of see this kind of what you will know later, like which is kind of, at least people who read the book kind of know that there is some animosity between them, because there is this kind of looks being passed which are so polite. She's like, the second scene where Trisha enters the room without permission. She's like, if you told me, we would have welcomed you better or something like that. And it's actually like she's really burning inside, but she's so calm in the exterior. She's not letting her emotions burst out. She's like, everything is boiling inside. I really think every character is kind of the only part where she's like hugely dramatic is when she falls at Vikram's feet and says, please don't kill this man. And that's because that's in the past, because that has hardened her. And kind of
Hmm.
that was when she was still kind of innocent and letting go of all of her emotions. And whereas now she's kind of in control, and she knows how to play people and play with people. Because even when Ravidasan keeps that knife on her throat and threatens her and says, well, I thought you were going to avenge the Pandyas. What are you doing? You seem to be enjoying a royal life. She coolly just kind of gives him money and then kind of walks away. That's her strength. And I think the way the character has
And even she replies, yes, I am. I am enjoying it.
been conceived and the way Aishwarya portrayed it was both fantastic. Mahishan says, Rakshasa Mamane is about Krishna killing Kamsa. Why would Choras who are Shaivites put up a drama glorifying a Vaishnava god? Listen, I'm not getting into this at all. All I'll say is a line from the movie, Ariyum Sivanam Unnu Ariyadavan Vayil Mannu, which is like basically saying that every god is the same. So I think
Yep.
that's enough. I've spoken enough about this movie, and thank you for your questions. And it's been when you've been following a director and his career for a long time, I think it's really uh, see, I think interesting is a word that we should all embrace a little more when it comes to movies, rather than good or bad, because good or bad is a very subjective thing. But at a cinematic level, is this interesting? Is there something to talk about? Is there something that has been tried? Is there something new here? What have they done? How has this been handled? How has the music been handled? How are the scenes cut? How was the cinematography doing that? I mean, like the trolley shot that I talked about with Trisha. Like there are so many things here that are interesting from a period film point of view. So I think that's what we should talk about, rather than how many crores this made and how many crores it didn't make, and whether it's going to be the #1 Tamil movie or whatever it is. A director who's nearing the 40th year of his career has delivered a huge, monstrous, gigantic blockbuster, and I think and with a risky film with a period kind of thing, and doing very unexpected things with the movie. And I think that is cause enough to celebrate Ponniyin Selvan Part 1. So thank you for the questions, and see you soon in the next Q&A.
That has definitely made me, go watch the movie again. And hopefully it will happening on this Sunday. But also live stream happening, by the way. But yeah, man, this was really fun. I was relieved when I saw the answer to my question. But yeah, man, there's so much, as he said, right? There's so much to talk about in this film. And just not just about the money or this and the all that. Like, I don't know why we just are so consumed by, and I think that's what the market guys want us, right? They want us to care about these things, so we go and watch the movie again and again to make it have more money instead of going it because we enjoyed the film a lot. It just become like competition thing. Oh, we have to make more than that movie and this movie, and just unnecessary battle and hyping up things on social media. That's the downside of it. But this was fun, man. We are all, as always, to the point, outstanding observations and breaking it down. I really enjoyed it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. And check out this video next if you want.